Recording started.
Yeah. All right. In between sessions here. All right, welcome aboard. I'm going to try not to stand in front of the projector. My name is Donna Eyestone. I teach online courses here at City College of San Francisco. I actually have never been to this campus before. I teach at the main campus in South San Francisco, but I teach online. So I've got a chance to meet some of my fellow online CCSF instructors who I've never seen before, so it's always exciting to be in a room full of people. Today how many of you are within the California Community College system? Okay, a fair number, and some are not. So I'm going to talk about my experience teaching podcasting and really making audio and video for your classes. But I also have a few things that are specific to California and how we're doing them here in the CCCs that you can take back to your places and see if maybe you can get them set up too, because there's no magic in it. It just takes some doing. And so in California, what we're trying to do, what I have found, I come from a background in media production. So in the early 80s, I got really interested in MIDI and making electronic music. And I had no kind of real hope of getting a job. It all seemed sort of elusive about what actually I was going to do with my life. And then the 90s came around, and suddenly everybody was interested in making media. And the tools got easy enough that anybody could start making audio and video, and they could all do it on their own computer, whatever they were using, and they could do it at home. So you didn't need to have, $1 million studio to make video anymore. And so in that path that I took, I really saw that media was something that was a great way about getting your point across, but that you couldn't just throw people into it. You needed to kind of provide a whole solution. And especially in the community college systems, the captioning piece is often what I hear lots of grumbling about, that if we're going to make media, how are we going to caption it? And so in California, we have a solution for that now in the community colleges. And so we wanted to take people through the whole process. And so, and it's interesting, this is an interesting time right now for me, because for a long time I've been teaching podcasting, teaching courses that have the word podcasting or vodcasting in the title. And what that means is that I get a lot of students who have some kind of notion about what that is, and they may or may not actually know what a podcast is. But they know it's cool, and so therefore they want to do it. And so that works really well for my city college classes. But I also teach a lot of courses with At One, which there's actually a presentation after lunch in this room about At One. And I teach to faculty. And I found that I didn't get a lot of faculty taking the course because they didn't realize it was really about making audio or making video, but that they thought, oh, I don't know what a podcast is, I don't know how to podcast, I better not sign up for this class. And so as podcasting has changed and grown and become more popular, I'm actually taking out the word podcasting from my courses with At One and separating the content production from the delivery. Because whether you're going to record audio or video and make these great things, it doesn't matter to me how you deliver them. You can put them on YouTube, you can put them up as a podcast, you can embed it in your online course. However you want to do it, it's fine. It's the same piece of media that you're making. And so the thing that's so cool about podcasting is that you can get your students to subscribe to your podcast, and so you can deliver them content periodically without them having to go and look, oh, did Donna put that new thing up in my online course? Let me go log into my online course. Let me get to the right module. Let me find the page. Oh, no audio posted today. try again tomorrow, right? And so that's that is what we're trying to solve, is a lot of wasted time. And so the podcasting can automate the delivery of the media. Humor me with the
Maybe you've heard all the hype about podcasting, but don't know where to start. It's really a pretty simple idea used in some pretty powerful ways, especially in education. The most essential part of podcasting is the casting part. Podcasting uses the subscription model to deliver audio content to your students when and how they want it. So, just like you might subscribe to a magazine and expect regular delivery to your door through the mail, with a podcast, users subscribe to your channel and come to expect regular audio content delivered to their desktop over the internet. Now, maybe you've seen websites that have audio on them. It's really nothing new. People have been delivering audio content over the web for years. What makes podcasting different is that it can be automatically delivered. Why is this important? Well, if you have weekly content you want to get out to all of your students, then wouldn't you rather be responsible for its delivery rather than having students seek it out? Sure, you could go to the newsstand every week and buy a copy of your favorite magazine, but isn't it just much nicer to have it sitting in your mailbox, waiting for you when you get home? And wouldn't you like to read the magazine when it's convenient for you, rather than only on Mondays between 9 and 10 a.m., for example? With podcasting, you can periodically deliver audio and other types of content to your students automatically. The files download to their computer in the background, so it'll be available for them to listen to without having to wait for a long download. And, like the millions of students who listen on the go, your students can sync their iPod or other MP3 players with their computer and listen to your audio content whenever and wherever it suits them. And yes, you can create, subscribe, and listen to podcasts either with or without an iPod using either a Mac or a PC.
So this movie is about 2.5 minutes long, and I made it because when I teach in person, now we're in a compressed time frame right now, when I teach in person, this is probably a half an hour. It takes me about a half an hour to get through all of these concepts in a classroom. And so I listened to feedback, I got student questions, I had all of this information that came to me from teaching live in a classroom that then I answer in a 2.5 minute movie. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, how many of you are new to podcasting? Does that make any sense? So if you're not new to podcasting, you probably get more from this movie if you know more about podcasting. And so it doesn't replace the classroom experience, it enhances it. For me, that's how I use it in my courses. And it means that you can review in 2.5 minutes instead of listening to me yabber for 30 minutes and go off on tangents and you don't have to watch my hands swelling. Like, it's a great way to consolidate some information, but give it to people in a way that is useful. And please feel free to ask questions along the way. And so you have some options. You can find media, and you can make it, or you can have your students make it. And so I run into a lot of people who want to learn how to make media because they found some great stuff. Or I run into a lot. I had a student in my last class who I always ask, what do you think you want to do? Like, what's your project? And she told me that she wanted to make a 2-hour documentary in a 4-week course. A 4-week course. She doesn't own a video camera. So this is somebody who's watched a lot of PBS videos and thinks they're great and just wants to go out and make her own PBS video. So that's not going to happen. PBS has a huge budget. They have lots of people. There's not you see a long list of credits at the end of a movie because there's always a lot of people involved in it. And so finding it is a darn good option for a lot of us. There is no reason to remake something that already exists. So I encourage you to go out and look first. I can't tell you how many people have taken a course from me who say, I want to make a video about how to log into Moodle. Oh, really? Like here's the person that did it last time. And yeah, maybe it has a different college logo at the top of their Moodle server, but really, do you really need to make this movie? Like, what is it that you need to tell your students that's particular to you? What are you giving them that's of value? Yeah?
Are there any copyright issues we need to be concerned about?
If people put it up on the web, and if it, it depends on where you're finding it, but usually no. If you're not, and you're just pointing to it. You're not downloading it. You're saying, here's the link to it, right?
You're not making your own podcast.
No, you're just creating it as a link. You can download it from a podcast, and you could technically take that and put that into your podcast. You can just ask permission. I would ask permission. It depends on who you're stealing it from. How far I would go in terms of asking permission. The let your students make it option, a lot of people don't think of. And so I just want to put that in your mind. Like, your students know how to do a lot of this stuff already, and they want to do it. They really do. So give them a chance. So right now, there's 3 kinds of podcast media that I want to talk about for the rest of this time and show you some things are audio podcasts. Okay, audio only. You listen to the radio all day, you're listening to NPR, that's your audio only kind of podcast. You can deliver lots of great, valuable information using audio only. You probably can't teach math using audio only, right? You can't show somebody how to throw a cylinder on a pottery wheel if you don't have video. So some things require visuals, some things don't. If you can get away with not using visuals, I highly recommend it. Audio is the easiest. It's the absolute easiest choice that you have. Enhanced podcasting, and I'll show you stellar examples of all of these. Enhanced podcasting is slideshows. So I could be doing it right now, but I'm not, because I have CCC Confer recording in the background right now. But I could be using a $30 application called Profcast, and I could be recording this slide presentation along with the voice that's getting picked up by this microphone. And when I leave at the end of this session, I have a movie that's made that has my PowerPoint presentation and all of my yammering. Done. Very easy production, $30. It's called Profcast. GarageBand is a Mac-only app that will also make these slideshow podcasts, but it doesn't do it in real time. So if you're the kind of person that wants to edit your lectures, Profcast, you can't edit them. You can, if you're on a Mac, take your Profcast recording and send it to GarageBand, and then you can edit however you want. But you cannot edit, it's a live performance. It's a recording of what happened. In GarageBand, you can just assemble it. So if you want to put together a bunch of images and just record a narration to it, and you're not doing it live in a classroom, GarageBand is a great way to go. It comes with your Mac. For video, I'm recommending iMovie if you're on a Mac, or Movie Maker if you're on a Windows machine. Both of them are already on your machines. They come with your computer. And I do a lot of video editing, and I use iMovie. I use Final Cut Pro. I don't know what you need to do with your video, but you can pretty much do anything you need in iMovie. Movie Maker. Anybody on Windows 7? Okay, so you Windows 7 people are going to find your Movie Maker experience has completely degraded since XP. Windows 7 has some problems. So you may want to look for another solution or find an XP machine to do your editing on. For example, one of the things you can't do is have your movie, you have a video clip going, and you want to put a still image on top of your audio. You can't do that in Movie Maker anymore. You used to be able to do it. You can't do, there's a few little like real basic things that a lot of you want to do that you can't do anymore. We can hope that it'll get better. Please.
So I just went to the synchronous presentation that I think you were talking in as part of was that you?
Oh, yeah, in Blaze, yeah, probably.
And so I actually wanted to do a combo, and I just want to check out what you're telling us. So I want to do my webinar in advance, like with using, I have both Mac and PC, like using GarageBand perhaps, and then I want to do an interactive part afterwards, and so that I have one really good presentation. So it sounds like these would be the tools to do it. Like I could do it in GarageBand and then just do the interactive part. Is that right?
Yes, and so that's a great way to look at it too, because in what she's talking about, how many of you are CCC Confer users? Oh, not many. Okay, so Confer is great if you want to do interactions. If you don't need if you're not doing interactions, then you're going to get a better quality recording if you don't have to go through the internet and come back and record it and do all of that. If you're just doing it on your computer, and so I would do the prepared stuff on your computer, and I would do the Confer stuff as a separate thing and make them separate, totally separate movies. Students, everybody. I don't know anybody who's going to tell you, I really want a 2-hour movie. Like, I really want this 2-hour lecture, or, God, I want you to put all your lectures together and the whole semester into one 18-hour movie. Like, short chunks are better. So that's what I would do, and then you can record it.
Great.
So Audacity is a free application, and it's not hindered in any way. Meaning it's a full application. It runs on Mac, Windows, Unix, and it's what I use. I want to set up this next clip before I play the audio. So at Palomar College, one of the things that audio is really great for is people who are non-native English speakers who are going to be sitting in your classroom struggling with the language as much as the concept. And so just knowing, for many people, just knowing that there's a recording that they can go back to will ease so much sort of fear in the classroom that they're able to listen in the classroom instead of like frantically taking notes. And so Li Chen teaches ESL, and he teaches a face-to-face class. He's been teaching this class for many years. He hasn't changed his assignment in any way. So every week there's an assignment that he gives out, which is write a 1 or 2 paragraph topic paper. And so the one I'm going to play is the Coming to America one, where he asks his students to write their Coming to America story. Same old assignment he always gave. Tells them that the top 3 papers get to be on the podcast. They get to be on the podcast. So now the quality just got amped up a little bit for those students. They want to be on the podcast, really? Okay. So now that's improved the writing, right? Then he chooses the top 3. Those top 3 people are going to go into his office hour using his computer and his mic on his computer, and they're going to read their essay. They're going to read their 2 paragraphs. So what do they do on the 5 days between when they get their notice that they've won to when they're going to record? They go home and they practice. They read it again and again and again and again, right? And so now their spoken English is getting better because they're vested in this, right? At the end of the semester, he takes all of the recordings and burns CDs and gives them to the students so that they can hear how much more their language has improved from week 1 to week 18 in the course. Phenomenal. takes him no time to do this. They come to his office. The students aren't worried because they don't have to do the setup themselves. And so, let's see if I can get this. And so nobody's wondering, there's no technical challenge to doing this. There's no real time commitment because he's got them recording right into his computer, right there, and then he makes the MP3.
Palomar College ESL Department Podcast Series. My name is Lee Chen. I'm coming to you from Palomar College in San Marcos, California. It is the purpose of this podcast to show how all of us, including our ESL learners, deserve an opportunity to share our experiences and insights.
He uses a short version of this every week.
Today,
so he just keeps regurgitating.
We will hear 3 Palomar ESL students share their experiences of coming to America. Our first speaker is Aaron.
My immigrant experience. I came here when I was 16. I decided to leave my country because I wanted to have a better life. At first, I thought it would be easy because some people in my country told me that in the United States, everything will be possible. But it wasn't like that. My first problem was the language. I was afraid to go to stores because I didn't know how to communicate with people. I felt sad because every time when I went to the store, I had the same problem. One day I was talking with my friends and they advised me to go to school, so I decided to take ESL classes. Now I'm a student at Palomar College. I feel comfortable talking with people and I have a lot of friends. Being a Palomar student, I have learned a lot of things and I'm still learning new.
So he's not worried about production quality, none of that, content. The content is what's really important. And the other thing I just want to make a note of is this environment that we're in right now. Like you're listening and you're looking at this slide and you're like, the thing about audio is that you're probably not going to be in a classroom full of people playing audio, right? You're going to be home on your computer, or better yet, you're going to have your earbuds in and you're going to be listening to your iPod. And so it can be very personal. Like it's not like you to the whole class. It's you right into somebody's ears. And so you get a chance to if you do teach online, to really make it personal. And so this, I really love this example because he doesn't put a lot of time into it, but yet it's super effective. Like it just really works.
So I was in Balboa Park and I saw a woman who stood in front of the small Polish house. First, I wasn't sure if she was Polish or American, but after a few minutes...
Okay, I'm going to go next one. Okay, so enhanced podcast. So this is the slideshow version, and with audio. And one of the things that you get, and I don't think I can show you with Confer going in the background here, but is you get a nice index with your recording. And so if somebody watches it on an iPhone or if you play it on your computer, it comes up in every one of your PowerPoint slides. The title field becomes an index. And so if you are recording your 50-minute lecture, and really somebody just had a problem when she talked about audio, what was that guy's name that she was talking, I can't remember his name, that you could go back and you could say, oh, here's the slide that's audio example, and just listen to that one slide instead of having to shuffle through. And so this indexing is wicked cool. It's awesome. And I used to tell people, it used to be a Mac-only product for a long time, and I used to tell people, like, this one $30 application is like worth buying the Mac Mini. Like, if you had to, it's worth it. So if you normally lecture with PowerPoint slides, it's the way to go, absolutely. And if you don't normally lecture you can use PowerPoint or Keynote slides. If you don't normally do that, which I normally don't, like if this were a lecture, I wouldn't have PowerPoint slides. If you don't, I have started making PowerPoint slides that have nothing other than big, huge topics on them, just so that I can get an index that says, oh, here's the next thing she's talking about, right? So it's just there only for those markers. And so
do you ever try and weave video in as well?
you cannot use video.
You said, okay.
So one of the things you lose, so audio file sizes are very small. Video file sizes can be very big. This enhanced podcast and take a longer time to produce. The enhanced podcast isn't recording 30 frames a second. It's recording, she stayed on this slide for 3 minutes, she stayed on this slide for 2 minutes, right? So it's one image. And so what you get at the end of your lecture is, 50 minutes of MP3 audio plus 12 JPEGs, or however many slides are in your presentation. And so the file size is very small. You lose certain things. So you can't have video. You can't have any rolling video in your slides. If you do, the recording will just ignore it. And so your class will see the video, but the recording will not show the video. If you and you lose your build, so like I have the cube transition between slides here, the recording doesn't save that. It just cuts from slide to slide to slide. You also lose your inter-slide build. So if you have bulleted lists, they will come up as a fully built slide. So basically what you get is the outline view in PowerPoint, and you lose all that other stuff. Now you can trick it, so you can make if you know you're going to do this, and I want to have a bulleted list that grows, what I do is I make 5 slides that have her title with 1 bullet. The next slide is a duplicate of that, with the title now with 2 bullets, and so you have more slides.
We're talking about podcasting.
That's with Propcast, right. And it's really the only thing out there right now that will do it all in the background. Your students don't even know that you need to know you're recording it. It doesn't interfere. It'll do it in real time, and it gets you this nice smaller file instead of a video. Because I could set a screen recorder up so that it's it's going to be huge, and you don't get it in it. So let's look at this one. Again, you're getting the PowerPoint experience of it. You have to see it, but
welcome back, everyone, to episode 4 of the McClary Fine Art Virtual Gallery Podcast, presented by Southwest Art Magazine. I'm your host, Rita Marie Villano. In episode 3 of the Virtual Gallery Tour, we brought the works and the words of Arizona's Johanna Harmon. Johanna's work will be on display in a one-person show on September 8, 2006 at McClary Fine Art in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Visit McClaryFineArt.com for more information on the gallery and upcoming shows throughout the year. Meanwhile, in this episode, we profile the play paintings of Andrew Simmons, who is nationally recognized for his painterly interpretations of the American landscape. Andrew describes his paintings as reading like a window into a place, luminous and fresh. Andrew and his wife both call Wyoming and Arizona their homes.
I'm going to just mute it right now. And so you can put in web links. So we've all experienced the situation where you're listening to something and it's in the background and you're not really watching the movie and you're just listening to it and you're checking Facebook and doing other things, right? And they're like, go to www.ci. blah, blah, blah. Like, people don't get that, right? This is the way to solve that problem, is now you can embed links. You want somebody to go and download Audacity, you can put the link to the download page right there in your video.
When you click on the link, does your audio continue to sync, or does it just get you to the other website?
It does. I'll do it. So yeah, I can't see who's online right now. I can't see the chat or anything. I'm just going to try it. Oh, it's not going to work because it's in PowerPoint. Okay. What happens is you click it, and it does what any time a web link would do. Is it clicks, it opens up your web browser on top of the movie window, whether you're playing it in QuickTime or iTunes or wherever you're playing it. We'll open it up on top of the browser window and take you to that page. And so both will play. The movie will continue to play, and you'll just go to
If you've got a link on every page, isn't the audio? If you're looking at a web page and then the sheet keeps going on or the audio keeps going on, aren't you going to get behind?
You probably wouldn't use it to do like like synchronous kind of stuff. But if you wanted to direct somebody, like, if you're interested in seeing the, you know, if you want, I could have a link to my course website that would go to the Moodle server and ask you for your login, right? Or you wouldn't want to, I wouldn't do something like, if I was showing somebody how, if I was taking somebody on a web tour, I wouldn't do it this way. Because then you would get out of sync.
Will you end up with one window? Or will it open separate windows?
It'll open separate windows. Every time pops a new browser window. Yes, Crosscast.
Sorry.
And so, and you can do the web links also in GarageBand. One per slide is the maximum. And if you're on an iPhone, you can, and you have the movie in iTunes and you click it, so if you're on any web-enabled device, it will open up the web page. Okay, and then, so the golden standard, everybody's, it's funny because I offer these classes, and at City College I can enforce prerequisites, right? You can't take video podcasting until you've taken audio podcasting. You can't take audio podcasting until you've done this, right? And like, the school enforces that. And at one, we have no mechanism for enforcing anything. We probably wouldn't enforce it even if we had the mechanisms. Everybody comes into my video podcasting course. Everybody thinks they want to do video and thinks they need to do video. A lot of us do. Like, again, you can't teach math without showing people what you're doing. The trouble with video is that most of us don't like seeing ourselves on video. I haven't really met a whole lot of faculty, like faculty that are awesome, that'll get up in front of any class and be able to say all these things. You put a video camera on them and they're like, I mean, even if they're home alone, like, or if you're trying to get them to do audio, suddenly they can't speak. And so, which is one thing, that's another reason why Crosscast is so cool, because then you're getting yourself in your natural environment. Like, you know how to perform. So there's the performance part of video, which is troublesome. And then there's the production part, which it takes more. A video can be harder to shoot. It's going to be harder to edit. Chances are you're going to want to edit it. And you've got a better, your mind's eye has PBS. You have PBS going through your mind, like, I want to do that. And then you go out with your flip camera and you shoot some video and you bring it back and you import it into your thing. You're like, what am I going to do with this? How come this doesn't look like PBS? And so sometimes we bring higher expectations to video. Like, if you're going to make a video, it should be good. And, you know, again, it doesn't have to be great. And there are some really good tips about, you know, there's some small things you can do to significantly improve your video. One of which is getting a tripod. So, iMovie or Movie Maker, and I want to show you an example that was done by a City College student of mine. And it's not, it may not be the best, video. The reason I want to show you this one is because it's, this woman knows her audience.
Hey everyone, welcome to Play Like a Girl, your rock and roll resource. My name is still Rashida, and it's really gloomy outside, which means it's the perfect day for a guitar lesson.
It doesn't look very gloomy.
So let's get started. Quick review. Last week we talked about the process of getting a guitar, and I gave you a brief overview of the guitar's different parts. Then we practiced strumming down using downstrokes, and strumming up using upstrokes. We even learned a chord, E minor. So here we are. We've got our guitars in hand, and even a useful chord under our belts. So what's next? Time to meet the strings. A guitar isn't a guitar without the strings, and each of the sticks is important in its special way. As I said last time, The strings go from lowest on the top to highest on the bottom.
She's shooting this using her web camera on her computer.
When each string is played open, meaning on its own without any frets being pressed, it plays a note.
You can see this.
The first is E.
Bottom part.
Oh, yeah.
The second is A.
Interesting. So that's like...
The third is
But it's
D.
moving, so it's not what's shooting.
Yeah,
It's weird. Somebody's shooting her shooting. Yeah. Interesting. I never noticed that.
But what's interesting
The
is
fifth B.
the video is still your camera's moving.
Right. Right.
Which is probably due to the fact that...
And the last is E. Just like the first string note, but higher.
That part of the guitar.
Lots of letters.
So one of the things that's kind of neat about this, I'm just going to turn the audio off, is that she has these shots, so she's not even really a great shot here. She didn't realize she was cutting off her head when she shot it, but it's okay. This is like the biggest tip I can give you about making your own video when you go home, is shoot in clips. Don't just like assume that you're going to be able to shoot the whole thing. Like shoot, okay, you tell me your introduction, I've got my video camera shooting. You tell me your introduction, and then you want to show me something at the board, don't like go to the board, right? Just pause the camera, come over here, shoot the board, right? The other thing I can tell you is a lot of times people will, a very common scenario that I run into is faculty who teach who, if you have, like here we have a choice of a chalkboard or a whiteboard. In general, the whiteboard is going to give you better results on video than the chalkboard will. But if you can have as much as you need already written on the board, you'll be doing yourself a big favor. Because although it may or may not be bearable for your live students in class to watch you writing on the board, it is totally unbearable for your video folks to watch you writing on the board. When your back is to the camera and they can't see what you're writing because you're between the camera and the board, and so they have to wait until you're all done until they get to see what you wrote. So there are some easy tips. And it was funny because I walked into this room today and we were like, oh, we got to set up and do these confer sessions and all this stuff. And I'm like, so why, like, there's a presenter. This is where the presenter was going to be. Like, really? People are going to be presenting with their backs to the people sitting in this room? Like, whoever thought of that? So like, the things that you would take into consideration just normally walking into the room also will apply for your video audience. And so in California, what we're doing is we offer some training on how to do just these things. And you don't have to be in California to do an @ONE training. They're mostly online. They are $50, I think, for a 4-week online course if you're in the community college system. And there's lots of topics from teaching online to making media to doing other things. And so we found that the training is a crucial part. And so even if you've started making some stuff and you just find you need a little help, @ONE might be a good place to go for some training. And then the next thing I ran into was that, now, some of you know, I'm married to the IT guy, and it's kind of by design. You got to really get what you want. So when I worked at the college where my husband works, when I left, everybody said, "Wow, how did you get such good tech support?" and so not everybody, the answer is cookies, but not everybody needs to marry the IT guy. But often that's the way it seems, right? You go and you want to do something and you're like, I need FTP access to the server. And they're like, no way. We're not giving you this. And you can't do that. And we're not going to host your video. And so I've heard a lot of those. And the other thing about podcasting was in order to get the syndication part, the regular delivery, in our way of doing things, you had to write XML. Oh, how many of you, like, the average faculty person would be like, oh, right, I'm not writing XML, and everybody I was like, anyway, you don't need to write XML if you use our 3C RSS podcast server, which is done by the same 3C Media Solutions folks, the same people that bring you CCC Confer, all these other statewide grants. I got them to get us a podcast server, and so you can get a free account. I think you get, I don't know if it's 1 or 5 gigs of space. If you need more than that, you just ask them, and they give you more space. So you can put up your media files on the server that somebody else is making sure it runs and making sure it's backed up. And they give you an account, and when you log in, it looks like this. It's a web page with a form. And it's the same kind of information that you would have had to put in your XML code, but there's no XML. So we thought this form would be a little easier for people to fill out, meaning you want to have a podcast channel, you need to give it a name. What name would you like it to be? You can type in English what the name is you'd like. You want your episode, you want it to come up with a name, what name would you like that to be? And so, so the 3C RSS server is solved a huge number of problems for people, because what would happen is they would come to me, they'd take this class, they'd get to the last week, they were wanting to make a podcast, and they didn't have any place to put it. And so for a short time, at one was sort of hosting the stuff, and we'd get all this, it was just too crazy, and then everybody else would have a server, and everybody would have their own weird problems, and so check them out if you're in the CCC system.
Is there a URL in?
There is.
3cmediasolutions.org.
Oh, you know what? It's not on my slides. 3cmediasolutions.org, and then there's a.
I just Googled it.
Okay.
Is Media Solutions all on there?
Yes, and it's 3, the number 3.
3C Media Solutions. .org? Better? Oh. Yeah, that will work.
It's available for anyone?
It's available. It is available for anybody in the California Community College system. Faculty, staff, probably not students. So I don't know. I don't know of students. I haven't tried it with students. If you are not in the system, you can use something like Podbean. You can go to an online service that does the podcast, does all the XML for you. The issue then is that then you might get a little advertising. It's got the kind of corporate look. This is like a Podbean. There's a lot of them, but Podbean is a good one.
iPod U is another alternative, right?
iTunes U.
iTunes U.
So iTunes U, anybody in iTunes U campus? You are. iTunes U, some colleges will be in iTunes U campus. City College is, San Francisco is. And that allows you to, you wouldn't need to use 3C RSS. So then the last complaint that I hear as we wrap up here is about the captioning. And this one I do have a URL for. Is that if you're going to produce audio or video content for your course that's required as part of your course material, you are required to caption that media. And so back in the old days, people would record their lectures and then they would get to the step and they'd say, there is no way that I am typing out my 1-hour lecture, right? And you were all very right in saying that, right? Because what would happen is if you were teaching live in a classroom and you had a hearing impaired student that needed an ASL, a sign language interpreter, come in, the school would provide one and they would come in. It has nothing to do with me as the teacher, right? I don't need to know anything about it. So they don't expect me to go in and tune the pianos before I teach a piano class. So now this is the grant. And so there's a statewide grant, and what's so cool about this grant, I don't know if maybe everybody has like connections, but I don't, but You can be me. You can be a random community college faculty member at a random college and use this grant. So you don't have to have this whole like infrastructure at your school and go through the GSPS office and all this stuff. You just apply for the grant. You need a signature from somebody above, like somebody at the dean's level, I think, and you tell them, I'm going to be sending you 40 minutes or 10 hours of video, and it gets captioned for you. It's free.
How long is it expected to go on? For foreseeable future?
For foreseeable future.
Excellent.
It's been going for a long time, this grant has been going for a long time, and it was, for a long time, only, it couldn't be used for distance education courses. And that which is, it's weird, I don't know where that came from, but now you can. You can use it for that. And your DSPS office on your local campus will be a good resource anyway. To just ask them, like they may have already set up they may already have something set up with these people, so you wouldn't even have to like apply. You just basically give it to them, and then they give you back the transcript. Yeah.
Are they allowed to do things that are not in courses, for example?
No.
Okay.
Has to be used in a course. Now, how do you know? You have to tell them this, but it has to be used in a course, and it has to be. I think. It has to be going to be reused in a course. So if it's a one-time thing, like if it's your weekly welcome message, they're not going to transcribe that if you're going to change it every.
Some of our community colleges within California have developed improvement videos that they want to put on their websites for people learning technology, but it's quite, the captioning part is
right.
Preventing some of them from being able to put on their website.
That you would have to check. I don't know that they would do it. Yeah.
The question that I have is I think so I've seen it done two different ways. Captioning and transcripts are two different things.
That's right.
Because I've taught classes on Educational Channel which were captioned, meaning down the bottom.
That's right.
Then I've seen other ones where they've just taken it and have a separate transcript. Are we talking about a transcript or are we talking about captioning?
They'll give you whatever you want. So what they'll do is you send them media, they will take the media and they will give you a file back that you asked for. They'll either give you a PDF, they'll give it to you as a Word document, they'll give it to you as an SRT file, which is the captions times, like this happened at time 2 seconds, this happened at time 2 seconds.
But is it actually physically showing up on the video?
It will physically show up on the video if you get it back in the right format. If you ask them for the right format, and then you just basically save the movie and the captions together. And then you get the movie and the captions. Now, the only time you really need to do that is if it's video. If you have a video, you need to have the synchronous captions. If you have audio, you are better off getting a document, because I can guarantee you that somebody who needs the captions is going to be able to read faster than you're speaking. And so they don't want to download a big long file and watch the captions. They'd much rather read the captions. And with your cross-test stuff, if you do cross-test, the cool thing too is that you could get the file back as a Word document, and you can actually take the words, the transcript of what you spoke on that slide, put it into the slide notes field, and then give it to them that way, because that's really also what they prefer, so that they have what you said next to the slide. They don't have to download the movie even, right? They just download your PowerPoint slide.
What about screencasts? Screencasts, a lot of times you're showing kind of what the screen looks like, and if you have text showing up, you're not going to see it. So what I recommend and what I do for my screencast is you can either put it below. If you use QuickTime Pro, you can actually take it and append it to the bottom of the video so that it's not over it. Or I always record, well, if I can, I leave myself 25 or more pixels at the bottom that I never use at the bottom of my screen, so that I know when the captions go over. You can also, YouTube has a captioning feature now, and so you can actually put it up on YouTube if you want, and just put the captions file that you get back from them. That will go over the video though. So, I mean, if you had to, like, if I were on my Mac and I had to show the doc, there'd be nothing that I could do, like, because the doc is at the bottom of the screen, and so the captions would have to go over that, unless I did it myself. But the hard part of the captions is getting the transcript, not deciding how to play them back. So just do it.
go out and make something. And I'm going to leave up this, I'll leave this around time, but I'm going to leave this up. This is a podcast, and you'll notice it's hosted on our 3C RSS server. And you can go in there, and it's a podcast of exemplary podcasts. And so each one will come up, and it'll tell you why I liked it, or what to look for in it. And there's some examples of audio, some examples of video, and some examples of enhanced podcasts. So thank you, and I want you to go out and make something, and know that if you're in California, we can support you through the whole way. And you have my email address, so feel free to ask questions. Thanks.
All good.
Oh, thank you.
And I get started
Oh.
before everybody goes off to lunch. Thank you very much.
Is lunch here?
Lunch is right here on this floor.
Okay.
In that room.
And I found out, if you don't already know, the women's room is around this way, and the men's room is right out the door. Great, thank you. Excellent, enjoy your conference.
It's interesting about the file size when you're using Process.
Yes.
I was wondering, talk about Google's captions.
Hold on a second, let me just stop this.